Okay, welcome to room number 2, Universal Show. Now, I can tell you what, I've been waiting for this one for a hot minute because I've been doing interviews for over 15 years now.
Yeah?
15 years.
Wow.
And I think I've interviewed nearly everybody within the UK scene, like past and present, where hip-hop's concerned. But there's 2 guys that are still like, you know, I haven't touched base with that are on my list.
Yeah?
One being Rodney P, good friend.
Yes?
But actually hasn't come on the show.
That's mad. Look at that.
And yourself.
There you go, look at that. Well, we're here now, innit?
Can you introduce yourself this morning, please?
What's going on, people? My name's Akala.
Akala.
Big up.
Boom. Wow. You know what? I've put the feelers out for this one this morning, you know.
Yeah, no, beautiful.
So
beautiful.
Everyone's ready. Everyone's ready.
Good,
Because they know it's going to go off this morning.
Good.
So, Akala, man, how are you, brother?
Bro, I'm good. I can't complain at all.
Yeah.
Can't complain at all. Feeling good about life.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's a challenge of managing. People always ask me, but for someone who's into politics and knows how the world, how do you stay sane? And I'm like, well, it is difficult to manage the reality that my personal life is going quite well.
Yeah.
The problems of the world still exist as they are, and I like to talk about them, and I like to engage with them and try and work with people. But you know what? I'm very grateful. I'm in a very fortunate position. I do what I love for a living every day. And I never take that for granted, really.
So what we're going to do, what we usually do, like, Carla, because you've never been on my show before, so I like to strip it back to basics because there's loads of people logged on this morning. We always hear about your opinions, your views on certain topics, and you're quite vocal, quite spoken. But I don't know nothing about your history.
All good.
You talk about history, but I don't know about your history.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to find out about you this morning.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so I want to know how you got the name Akala, how you got into the game, how you got into doing whatever you're doing to this day. Give us a little breakdown quickly.
So I came into hip hop or MC, and my dad ran a sound system, just his own little thing. It wasn't like a known sound system. My stepdad was also a DJ. He was a stage manager of the Hackney Empire Theatre, so I had a very cultural upbringing, even though we was bruck. Culturally, we were rich. Earliest memories of hip-hop were probably Public Enemy. I was about 6 when Fear of a Black Planet came out, but I memorised a lot of the lyrics and NWA, and I grew up heavily on 90s dancehall, K-Paul, Bounty, Beanie, all of that good stuff, and 70s reggae. There was like that. Jamaican music was more so than American hip-hop was what I was brought up on. Then when I became a teenager was when American hip-hop really took centre stage. I got the name Akala from a book. It was spelt with a C, and it meant immovable, that which cannot be moved or doesn't move or doesn't compromise. I'll put the K in because my real name is Kingsley, and I prefer the K, it looks better. And also, since I chose the name Akala, I found out that the name Akala in Sanskrit means eternal, in Filipino it means I thought, in one of the Australian Aboriginal languages it means a parrot. It just has so many different meanings all over the world. I've been always writing lyrics. So all through secondary school, I was writing lyrics. I wrote out all 28 tracks to Wu-Tang Forever.
Wow.
I wrote out all the lyrics and I annotated them and everything. I was that guy. I always wanted to rap, even when I was playing football. So I played for West Ham for 5 years as a schoolboy. In that era, the golden era, where Michael Carrick, Joe Cole, Jermaine Defoe, Glenn Johnson. So Glenn Johnson was in my team. Jermaine was a year above me. Rio and that lot was 4 or 5 years older than me, But my actual year was Glenn Johnson and Anton Ferdinand were the 2 that people would know. They might know Kieran Richardson as well, but he wasn't a pro at West Ham. He was at Man United and then Fulham or somewhere else. So I played ball a little bit.
Wow.
But music was always what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I even got in trouble at football a couple of times when I was a youth, because I'll be on the pitch and I'll just be rapping. I remember one particular time, DMX, his second album had just come out, 1998. I think was playing Fulham or someone. And my man was just so gassed. I was at right back in. There hadn't been no action for a minute, and my coach got angry. He was like, Kingsley, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow, that's a nice little journey.
No, man's had a journey.
So when did you decide then? You know what? I'm gonna take this music thing seriously.
Well, I always wanted to take it seriously. When I was a youth, I was battling. I was entering a spoken word. I was trying to get on radio. You know, a couple of DJs wouldn't let me on their radio stations when I was a youth. I ain't naming no names. They know, innit?
They know
in a bad way. No, not even in a bad way. I just find I found it interesting. I think when I first started to come out, when I was like 17, 18, partly because of who my sister was, I think also. There was a, on the one hand, there was a, oh, right, it's Mr. Dynamite's little brother. And on the other hand, I was, it's Mr. Dynamite's brother, we don't need our help. Even though I was trying to be a credible underground artist. that said, you know, I think that, yeah, about 17, 18, I really started to try and take it serious.
Yeah.
Even though I'd been writing and recording all through school. So I recorded my first tracks when I was probably like 15. A guy called Martin Moulton.
God, dear, from BMG.
Yeah.
Big Martin.
Yeah, Big Martin.
Yeah.
Big Martin took me to the studio, one studio in Hackney, Clapton where he's from, and the next studio in White City Estate. I recorded a couple tracks then. I was always on it. Just wanted to rap more than I wanted to. But just being a UK rapper didn't seem like a realistic career back then. For the youth them now, they can't imagine that, you know. Kano's selling out Brixton Academy, Skepta's selling out Alexandra Palace. Even me, who's not had a daytime radio playlist in over a decade, I can sell out Coco, 27 UK date tour coming up, tour in Australia, blah, blah, blah. We have careers now. Yeah. When I was a youth, to be fair to the UK rappers that were around then, Skinny, Rodney, Black Twang, even Roots Maneuver, who did have a very successful career, it was much more difficult.
Yeah. Because,
as I've said to people, there was only a few DJs, really one main DJ, who was the linchpin of hip-hop back then, and he did very little to bring UK rappers through. Yeah. It was very much American-only promotion. There were other DJs who supported us, but he was the main big I am. Obviously, I mean Westwood. And now, the game's been blown wide open by the internet, by people like Charlie Sloth, for example, and loads of other DJs. There's always been a groundswell of good pirate radio or other DJs and different people supporting us. I'm not saying there wasn't no support, but before it was much harder to garner that support into a mainstream success. Now, particularly the internet has transformed the game. So many of us are just like, whatever, like, cool. Yeah. MTV's become redundant, really. Like, love to some of the people that work there, but as a corporation, they've stopped really even playing music.
That's right.
Because for a long time, they didn't play no UK artists. It was just America, but they're in England. Channel U came along and made it clear that people actually wanted to watch, unsurprisingly, people that were local too. We ain't got nothing against America. They've been a massive inspiration to us. But we want to hear music in our own language, our own voice, about our own place too.
Most definitely.
You know what I mean?
We're going to get into some things this morning. If you just logged on this morning, I'll tell you what, we've got Akala in the building. I'm giving him the stage this morning.
Yes.
Because you know me, I can talk for England, but I'm giving Akala the stage this morning. So we're going to get into some topics this morning. So from your experience, what was it like growing up as a youngster in London? From your experience.
You know what's interesting, right?
Yeah.
So I got a nephew who's 12 and I got a little brother who's 15. And some of the experiences they're starting to go through as young teenage black boys in London takes me back to what it felt like. You know, I won't say I had the worst upbringing, I didn't. You know, in my household, there was always books, there was always encouragement for education. But being frank, we was bruck. Like, and I don't mean it to be fashionable, I mean bruck. Like, sometimes breakfast wasn't always there. Water on the cereal. Sleeping in your tracksuit.
We said powdered milk and them things there.
Powdered milk, water, Benjamin. You never even said water. Right? Certain times it was real like that. It was greasy, you know. Yeah. Filling up the electric key, electrics run out. Boom, blackout for a couple of days till money comes through. Or gas card run out. House is cold. Sleep in your tracksuit. It was gully. Single parent family. Didn't always get the support that we needed to get from the rest of the family. Remember, my mum's family's Scottish. They're up in Scotland. A lot of them kind of disowned there anyway. My dad's mum lived up the road from us. And she did what she could, but she's a pensioner. She never had no big job, like, you know what I mean? So I used to go to her yard every Sunday for dinner. She used to give me a little £5 from her pension. Shout out to Granny, Nanny Millie, and Nanny Gully. So my stepdad's mum also. They fed us a lot, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Big up to them. But they weren't rich people, they were poor people. But becoming a teenager, being a straight A student, as I was, but getting searched by the police for the first time at 12 years old, it was a strange experience. Getting to that age where, when I was in primary school, I grew up in a very mixed area, Camden. Everyone was friends. Black boys, white boys, Indian boys. In primary school, it was all brethren. And we never hated each other come secondary school. But your socialization starts to segregate your friend group. So by like age 12 or 13, when all the black boys have been searched 5 times by the police, when the teachers treat us a certain, all of a sudden I realized, my whole friend circle is black. How has this happened?
Yeah.
Like, and looking back now, I realized the socialization of what it was. And of my 9 brethrens, 10 brethrens, all black, who we started school in year 7 together, 2 or 3 of us finished school. The other 6 or 7 got expelled. Yeah, and this is in a multicultural school in inner London that prides itself on being a liberal school.
Yeah.
Yet even in that school, the young working class kids in general, but black boys particularly, were getting expelled more than anyone else. I get to 14 and 15 and people I grew up around. First time I saw someone get stabbed, I was probably 12. You know, I know it's breakfast time, but you're asking me about growing up, right? my best friend's big brother got a meat cleaver in the back of his head in the barber shop. He was a naughty boy, let's be clear. I'm not saying it.
Okay.
I'm not saying it like I'm not justifying it.
Yeah. You're not promoting it. It is what it is.
But he was in that life.
That's a story. That's what you're telling.
He was in that life, and he would be the first to admit that. He actually has been deported now. He's never allowed back in England. He was born in Nigeria. He came here when he was 2. And he was involved in that. He was a roadie even at that age.
Yeah.
So him and the boy had a little rivalry. He got caught. Boom. It was what it was. They were in that. But then you get to 15, 16, and those sorts of experiences start to come normal. Your peers, bad stuff happens to them. You get rushed a little bit. You might be at the wrong dance or in the wrong ends. And it becomes a very scary period of life. As a teenage black boy in this city, or in any of Britain's major cities, it's scary.
Now, I'm going to pick up on something that you just said there, because you're a man that I can speak to about this morning. You define yourself as a black man. I look at you as a black man.
Yes.
But then there's a lot of black people as well that like to segregate amongst ourselves and each other. So they would say that a mixed race person is not black.
No, and they're correct. Both aspects are correct. What do I mean by that? I think that it's perfectly acceptable to say, well, hold on a minute. If a mixed race person is black, then what's a person with 2 black parents? All identities are invented. That's also, even the idea of race is invented. If I was in Nigeria, obviously people are going to know I'm not a local. It's very clear that I'm mixed. I suppose I think both things are accurate. Obviously I'm mixed. My mum's white. But I'm socialized into blackness, and I've been treated by the society as a black person. My affinity, because of my upbringing, I wasn't brought up around the white side of my family. I was brought up around my mum, the rest of my mum's family. The Scottish lot were cool. So my mum's half Scottish, half English. The English lot didn't really want to know us, right? But the Scottish lot were in Scotland.
Yeah.
So my only grandparents I had contact with were dad's side of the family. My godfather is Guyanese. I spent all my childhood around his family and my dad's family. So that's what I know. If I grew up in Scotland and I only grew up around my mum's side of the family, I might feel very differently.
Yeah.
I might even feel like a white person, to be honest, but know that I'm brown, right? But my experience of race in this society means that I have been socialized into blackness. If I grew up in Nigeria and people were constantly calling me white man or Imbo or whatever the word is, right? Maybe I'd feel differently. So I think that race is different depending where you are. For me, we have to face these challenges. Therefore, to me, to be like, oh, I'm mixed. I find most mixed people, when they emphasize their mixedness, it's a way of saying, oh, I'm not really black. Does that make sense?
Yes, I know that.
They know they can never be white.
They specify, I'm mixed.
So it's like, yeah. Even some black people do it. You ask them, man will be jet black and be like, yeah, I'm a quarter Indian. I'm like, okay, fam.
They're trying to hold on to something else. That's the holding on to something.
The whole sense of blackness is inferior. So I will sound black. Not to put down people who've got 2 black parents or to say that they don't have they can't question me. They can. It's totally valid. It's to say there's nothing wrong with being black. Like, I'm not running away from the part of me that is of African heritage. I'm also not running away from the part of me that is of European heritage. I'm just saying, in a racialized society, it would be very naive. Mark Duggan was being policed by the black on black violence police department, Operation Trident.
Yeah.
His half, they didn't only shoot his black side. They didn't say, left the white side, no?
Yeah.
I just think that in a racialized society is very difficult. That's how I felt. But I am aware of the contradictions of someone with a white mum saying they're a black person.
Another thing, I wonder if you can relate to this.
Yes.
Now, in my line of work, I speak to barristers. I speak to sergeants in my line of work.
Yeah.
I'm a mental health worker. I work with the youth as well.
Beautiful.
And so I have to liaison with a lot of people within that sector. You speak very well for and I'm like, I'll wait, I'll wait.
For a what? For a what?
For a what?
For a what?
There's a pause, right? And I'm like, for a what? And then the collar, the fidgeting starts, the fidgeting. And I say, what you say, black person? Well, yeah. And there's a laugh, nervous laugh.
Yeah.
Have you ever dealt with that yourself?
Of course, people watch too much telly. And anytime, look, you might have the odd Idris Elba, know Idris well, personal friend, love the brother. You have the odd Idris on TV, but the general representation of black people on British television is gangbanging and crime. And that's a portion of what goes on. But I went to Pan-African Saturday School, working class black community, not rich people, who spent their entire Saturdays for my entire childhood teaching me maths and English and black history. I've never seen that on British TV. So the rest of Britain, who doesn't actually know black people, thinks that 1% of the community, and even then, the analysis of those phenomena in our communities is not accurate, if that makes sense. So
yes,
even the
course.
problematic side is not looked at properly. But anyway, because there's so little representation of intelligent black people on television, in the 21st century, my brethren's a doctor, one of my good brethrens, trauma surgeon. He's been arrested 4 times. Because when he gets pulled over by the police, he's hench, good looking brother, looks like a model. Obviously he's a doctor, he's on good money, so he drives his E-Class. And he dresses like street, whatever the hell that means. Police pull him over and they can't get their head around him saying he's a doctor. You see it? This is the world we live in, where people think that an educated black person is an anomaly. Whereas I'm in the community, and one of the main reasons people love and respect me is not music. I walk into Winston Green Prison in Birmingham, disproportionately black prison in Birmingham, and I give a lecture, which I do every Black History Month there. And man are silent. 300 of the worst roadman in Britain, and everyone who knows Birmingham knows the gang thing up there is a bit more serious. Why am I quiet for 2 hours when I'm teaching history? Because even roadman, there's a respect for intelligence. Growing up, as I said in my first Friday in the Booth, some of the first people to encourage me in my education were family friends who were naughty boys, very naughty boys. But they were like, right, you're smart. You've got a different set of opportunities for us. You can kind of make right. There's a respect for intelligence in the black community that people don't seem to be able to comprehend. Everywhere where there was racism, apartheid South Africa, America, during slavery in the Caribbean, even here in Britain, but particularly those other territories, black people physically fought for the right for access to education. Does that speak to a community that doesn't respect intelligence? Yet, British society and white society in general has had to convince itself that we don't value education, even though we're in a country where the 6 youngest people to ever take GCSEs are all black. The youngest people to ever go to Cambridge are black. 6-year-old Joshua Beckford from Tottenham, which is the hood, is studying philosophy at Oxford. His black dad taught him to study philosophy. I could give a million more examples.
But you know what I heard as well, Carla? I think that black, as a whole, they're actually doing quite well in school these days, you know. As the statistics, have they changed?
So my understanding of it is the most failing group in British schools is working class white boys.
Right.
So you do still have a attainment gap between black students and middle class white students. And you do still have problems that we have in schools, but I think sometimes those problems can be exaggerated. But also it's different. If you separate out the black community and you looked at, say, Ghanaians and Zimbabweans versus Caribbeans, there would even be a difference there. So it's not really, black paints over everything.
Yeah.
As Caribbeans, we came here first. So we had to deal with the worst racism for the longest period of time.
Most definitely.
So we're the lowest scoring group in the schools, not because we don't value education, but because the legacy of sus laws and everything else that the Ghanaians and the Zimbabweans didn't deal with because they came in the 80s and 90s, we had to face that.
That's right.
The reason why you know that's the case, and that's not an excuse, is if you look at Jamaicans in America, go to Brooklyn. This is for anyone who hasn't been. Go to the Bronx, go to Fort Lauderdale. Jamaicans are looked at the way Indians are looked at here. Hardworking, snobby, overeducated, entrepreneurial. They're looked at as essentially the middle class blacks because they went to America in the 70s after the civil rights movement was over and they were able to benefit from some of the gains that black Americans had fought for. But they're from the same island. Many of them are our cousins.
Yeah.
Why have they done so much better in America than they've done here? They're the same black people from the same islands.
Yeah.
So can someone explain to me why they fared so much better in America? So I think that what you're talking about, I don't want to waffle on about it, but that phenomenon of people being shocked that you're smart, speaks to general human ignorance. Because I'm not going to make an excuse for people. It's the 21st century. Like, you can read a book and know that, you know, black people have written lots of books. But there is also a propaganda war in many ways, where the people making decisions about who will and won't get on TV all come from the same backgrounds. So even if they're not being intentional, what happens is they commission over and over again the same stories, the same programs, the same prejudices about black life in Britain. And people come out saying to a grown man like you, hardback, educated man with degrees, working a mental health professional, you speak well. What are you supposed to sound like?
What? Somebody please.
And what does speak well even mean?
What does that mean, you speak well?
Like, what does that mean?
No. Hold on, no, Carla, you got to get it right. 4.
Yeah.
Because remember, it's the 4 at the end, you know.
Come on.
That's what, when I hear that word 4 coming afterwards, if they said to me, yeah, you speak well, you know what's special, you speak well, but they say you speak well, and then there's a pause.
To me, more than anything, I don't even get offended by that anymore because I would have before, but now I just laugh. I'm just like, you're an idiot. The fact it's the 21st century and I'll go and lecture Oxford with my hoodie on and mess people up and I'll chat like I'm chatting to you. Even the idea that speaking like this makes you particularly educated and intelligent. No, a lot of people that talk like that bomb countries.
Yeah.
I don't look at man as gangster because they don't speak the Queen's English. Because plenty of people that speak the Queen's English are on some gangster business. You see it? So
I know I've got to do it. I've got to turn on the sound alarm this morning.
Get busy. Yeah. But yeah,
I got to tell you this one. Listen, Akala is in the building. I'll tell you what, we could talk for ages,
We could.
And I know the management, they're on my case. They're on my case.
Yo!
Yeah, they're on my case.
Give me my next one for
I've got one more.
Yeah, go on, what was you going to
They're going to kill me. They're going to kill me.
Go on. Last one.
All right. I want to know, like, break it down for me. Are they scared of you, the powers that be? Are they scared of you? Because you said you've never had no radio play. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, your stuff's never been played on MTV. Has it?
Back in the day.
Back in the day, in the early
Finally did
days.
get played a bit. I don't think it's some big conspiracy. Let's be clear.
What is it?
I think there's a general trend of what is and isn't acceptable. But let's be quite clear. I do think there is a degree of maneuverability here that we don't have in other places. So, for example, I've just presented a documentary for BBC4, which is it's called Roots, Reggae and Rebellion. It comes out in October. It's about the history of reggae music, my relationship with it. I'm having other discussions at TV. I think there isn't this big conspiracy that people think, if I'm honest with you. I think a lot of it is ignorance, like what I was saying to you before.
Yeah.
If all of the commissioners at the main TV channels are all from the same background, went to the same schools, same sort, half the time it's actually not this big conspiracy, it's just ignorance. They don't know. Whereas when I do an interview and there's 10 million views on Facebook and it comes across, actually in the last year, my management have had at least 100 emails from production companies trying to make TV programs with me and do this and do that, because it's so clear now that my voice is popular. Now that might mean that they're personal problems for me. I've made myself a target, I've spoken a certain way, but there isn't this big conspiracy to keep critical voices off the airwaves. There's a general sense of just ignorance of our traditions as a community.
Most definitely.
Whereas in America, the place we always look to, for all the racism that exists in America, I think there is a sense of understanding of the black radical intellectual tradition because of Malcolm, because of Marcus Garvey, because of Martin Luther King, because of so many, even in the music, Erykah Badu or Jill Scott or James Brown. We haven't had that here. We're still finding our voice as black people who are British citizens. And I think that myself and others will be part of finding that voice and breaking that critical black voice into mainstream British society. I don't think we'll be shut out forever. And like I said, I don't think everyone sat down like, we must silence these people. Not to say that you can't get killed for talking out. Plenty of people have been historically. But I don't want to promote the idea that there's five guys sitting in a room trying to shut out any critical voices. That I don't think that would be fair or accurate. I have had plenty of other opportunities, even if they're not on the radio.
Crazy. Akala. You know what? You know we can go on for another hour,
We could.
We've got to do it again,
10 years of Akala, triple vinyls coming out and the digital version. UK tour coming up. 27 dates. Big up.
Wicked. I'll tell you what, it's such a blessing. So listen, the track we're going to play this morning is the one with you and Kabaka Pyramid.
Yes, Giants.
We're going to play that this morning.
Yes, please
Tell
do,
us
please
quickly what Giants is about, just quickly.
Giants is about about praising and paying dues to the cultural, political and musical giants who've paved the way. Big up.
That was another topic we was going to discuss, but another time, because there seems to be this problem with ageism in music, especially in hip hop.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
It's massive on social media.
Yeah, but if you
how
look
the younger artists are not respecting the founders
yeah,
of the
and
music.
you got to respect those who pass you the relay button.
Yeah. But we'll do that another time, right?
100%.
So listen, could you introduce that single this morning,
Yes, please. This is Giants featuring Kabaka Pyramid and Marshall. 10 years of Akala out. Big up.
Boom.